There is a silence that arrives around 3 in the morning that does not exist at any other hour. It is not merely the absence of sound. It is a quality of stillness that seems to press against the inside of your skull, making your own thoughts audible in ways they never are when the world is awake. If you have experienced this, you know what follows. The clarity arrives first, not the useful kind, not the clarity of solutions or understanding. This is something sharper and more dangerous. Your mind, which has spent all day navigating noise and obligation and performance, suddenly finds itself without occupation. And in that vacancy, something else steps forward. Something that has been waiting. The memories arrive with peculiar precision. Conversations you have not considered in years replay themselves with photographic detail. Words you spoke that you wish you had not. Words you failed to speak that now, in this silence, seem to contain your entire character. The emotional weight of these recollections feels disproportionate, as if the night has stripped away whatever cushioning normally exists between you and your own history. You are not remembering these moments. You are re-entering them, and they hurt more than they should, because at 3 in the morning, you have no defenses prepared. You cannot lie to yourself about what you did. You cannot soften what was done to you. The memory arrives raw, and you must taste it. Your identity, which feels so solid during daylight hours, becomes strangely provisional. The roles you play, professional, competent, moving through the world with purpose, seem to belong to someone else, someone who exists in a different kind of time. The achievements that normally reassure you lose their texture. They feel like stories about a stranger you have been pretending to be. Meanwhile, the insecurities you successfully ignore during meetings and conversations find their voice with terrible ease. They do not shout. They do not need to. In this silence, a whisper is sufficient. And they whisper things you would kill to keep hidden from anyone else. Things you have kept hidden from yourself. If this feels familiar, consider subscribing. What happens at 3 in the morning is not random, and by the end of this, you may never experience it the same way again. The shift begins gradually, though you rarely notice it happening. Throughout the day, your mind operates through a series of filters. These are not conscious choices. They are automatic mechanisms that allow you to function, to prioritize, to protect yourself from the full weight of your own interior life. You filter out the ambient anxiety that would otherwise accompany every decision. You filter the memory of failure so it does not paralyze present action. You filter your awareness of mortality, of time passing, of the sheer improbability and fragility of your own existence. These filters are not deception. They are necessary architecture. Without them, you could not cross a street or answer an email, or maintain the basic illusion of continuity that makes life navigable. But illusions, necessary or not, remain illusions. And at 3 in the morning, the architecture shows its seams. Something happens in the deep hours of the night. The filters weaken, not through any choice of yours, simply through exhaustion, through the withdrawal of external demand, through the brain's own rhythm of restoration that somehow, paradoxically, leaves you more exposed than protected. The distractions that normally occupy the surface of your mind, notifications, tasks, the constant low-grade stimulation of a world that never stops talking, have all gone quiet. There is nothing to push against. And when there is nothing to push against, you discover how much of your daily self was defined by that resistance, how hollow you are without it, how little remains when the performance stops. Your mind stops performing. This is the crucial turn. During the day, you are always, in some sense, on stage. Even alone, you are maintaining a relationship with yourself, managing your own narrative, keeping the story coherent. But at 3 in the morning, the performance becomes impossible to sustain. The effort required to maintain your self-concept exceeds the energy available. And so, gradually, the performance drops. What remains is not your true self exactly. That is too simple. That is too kind. What remains is everything your performance was designed to conceal. The rot beneath the floorboards. The smell you have grown accustomed to. The thing that lives in your house that you never name. The thoughts that surface now have a particular quality. They are not new. You have had them before, many times, always at this hour. The same regrets, The same fears, the same unanswerable questions about whether you have lived correctly, loved adequately, chosen wisely. You might imagine that thinking something repeatedly would diminish its power. The opposite occurs. Each return deepens the groove. The thoughts become more real through repetition, more authoritative, more difficult to dismiss as mere anxiety. They feel like recognition, like something in you insisting on being acknowledged, like a debt that has come due. And then comes the darker turn. You might call this anxiety, but that word is too small, too medical, too clean. Anxiety suggests a malfunction, a misfiring of threat detection, something to be managed or medicated away. What happens at 3 in the morning is not malfunction, it is exposure. The hour itself seems to function as a solvent, dissolving the masks you wear without knowing you wear them. Your social identity, which provides such reliable structure during the day, that complex arrangement of relationships, roles, expectations, and reciprocities, fades into irrelevance. No one is watching. No one needs you to be anything. And without that external scaffolding, you must confront the question of whether there is anything beneath it at all, or whether you have performed so long that the performance has eaten the performer. Your achievements, which normally serve as evidence of your value, lose their meaning in this light. The promotion, the project completed, the recognition earned, these accomplishments belong to the daylight world of cause and effect, effort and reward. They do not translate into the currency of 3 in the morning. Here, the only currency is emotional truth, and emotional truth is not impressed by resumes. Your insecurities, meanwhile, have been waiting for this opportunity. They do not attack. They simply speak, and in the silence, their voices carry. They remind you of the ways you have felt insufficient, the love you needed and did not receive, the love you needed to give and could not, the person you promised yourself you would become, and the distance between that promise and your present reality, the lie you have been living, and how comfortable you have become inside it. Your unmet desires surface with particular cruelty at this hour, not because they are stronger than during the day, but because you are too tired to rationalize them away. The desire for a different life, for different choices, for the return of possibilities that have already closed. The desire to be someone else, someone who would have known better, acted sooner, been braver. These desires do not offer motivation. They offer grief. They show you what you want and simultaneously confirm that wanting changes nothing. This is the specific pain of 3 in the morning, not wanting itself, but wanting without agency. The recognition that you will die without having lived as you wished, and that this is not tragedy. This is simply how it is. This is simply what you chose, moment by moment, until the choices hardened into structure, and the structure became your life. Your unresolved past reappears not as memory, but as presence. The people you have lost, the versions of yourself you have abandoned, the roads not taken which in daylight seem like mere speculation, become at night something more like haunted geography. You can feel the weight of those other lives, those parallel possibilities, pressing against the membrane of the life you actually chose. And you cannot know, will never know, whether those other lives would have been better or worse. You can only know that they are lost, that you killed them, that every choice is a murder and you are surrounded by the dead. And that loss, which you successfully ignore while occupied, demands your attention now. It demands that you look at what you have done, what you have become, what you have settled for. This is why the same thoughts return night after night. They are not random neural firings. They are the unresolved, the unintegrated, the aspects of your experience that your daytime self has not found a way to accommodate or release. Your regrets replay because they have not been fully felt, not as emotion, but as fact. You have not allowed yourself to inhabit the reality of what you did or failed to do. You have managed it, explained it, contextualized it, learned from it, but you have not felt it. You have not let it kill the part of you that needed to die. And so it waits. It waits for the filters to drop. It waits for 3 in the morning. It waits for you to be weak enough to finally understand. Your fear intensifies at night, not because the world has become more dangerous, but because your illusions of control have become transparent. During the day, you can believe, with some credibility, that you are managing your life, that your choices matter, that you are moving towards something. At 3 in the morning, the narrative structure of your existence becomes visible as narrative, a story you tell yourself to keep breathing. You see that you do not know what happens next, that your plans rest on assumptions that could collapse, that the stability you experience is temporary, constructed, possibly illusory, that you are standing on ice, and you always have been, and the ice has always been thinner than you allowed yourself to know. This is not pessimism. This is accuracy. And accuracy, at this hour, feels like drowning. Your loneliness amplifies because you are forced to recognize that no one else is present in your consciousness. However connected you may be during the day, however loved, however accompanied, at 3 in the morning you are alone with your own interiority in a way that cannot be shared. No one can enter this space with you. No one can verify your experience or relieve you of its weight. The solitude is not physical. It is metaphysical. It is the condition of having a self at all. And in this solitude, you must finally admit that you do not know if anyone has ever known you. That you do not know if you have ever allowed yourself to be known. That the person others love may be the performance, and the performer may be unlovable, or empty, or simply not there. Your ambition feels both urgent and impossible, because at this hour you can see simultaneously what you want to achieve and why you might fail to achieve it. The daylight mind can sustain one or the other, desire or doubt, but not both at once. At 3 in the morning they coexist. You feel the full force of your longing and the full weight of your limitations. You see the gap between who you are and who you think you should be, not as a problem to be solved, but as a permanent condition, a wound that will not close. And this recognition, if you allow yourself to feel it, is devastating, because it suggests that your dissatisfaction is not temporary, that your restlessness is not a phase, that this is simply what you are and what you will remain until you die. But here is the reframe, not offered lightly, not offered as comfort, but offered as possibility, however cold. 3 in the morning is not your enemy. It is not malfunction. It is not an interruption of your proper functioning that must be eliminated or medicated or hacked away through better sleep hygiene. It is the only time your mind is honest. During the day, you are managing reality. At night, you are encountering it. The thoughts that surface at this hour are not distortions. They are truths you have not found another way to access. The grief you feel is real grief. The fear is real fear. The recognition of your own limitations is accurate recognition. Your daytime self lies to you necessarily, benevolently, to keep you moving. Your nighttime self does not have the energy to lie. It shows you what you are, what you have done, what you have failed to become. And it shows you without mercy, because mercy is another daytime construction, another filter, another way of keeping you soft enough to function. This is not romanticization. There is nothing romantic about lying awake while your own mind shows you everything you would prefer not to see. There is no virtue in suffering, but there is information in it. The pattern of your 3 in the morning thoughts is not random. It is a map of what you have not processed, what you have not integrated, what you have not allowed yourself to know. The same regrets return because they are important. The same fears surface because they are partially true. The same desires persist because they represent something essential about you that your daytime life may not be honoring. Something you have betrayed. Something you have buried alive. 3 in the morning exposes the construction of your daytime self. It shows you how much of your identity is performance, how much of your stability is negotiated, how much of your peace depends on distraction. This is not cause for despair. It is cause for clarity. But clarity at this hour feels like despair. That is the paradox. That is the design. You cannot have one without the other. You might wish to silence this hour, to medicate it away, to exhaust yourself into unconsciousness, to fill it with screens and noise until it loses its power. This is understandable. The exposure is painful. The honesty is costly. Most people choose this. Most people will continue choosing this until they die, never having faced what waits for them in the silence. But consider that 3 in the morning is offering you something your daytime life cannot. The opportunity to know yourself without performance, to feel without management, to encounter your own existence without the buffer of occupation, to see the rot before it spreads far enough to kill you. The question is not how to make this hour comfortable. Comfort is not available here. The question is whether you are willing to receive what this hour offers, whether you can tolerate the exposure long enough to learn from it, whether you can allow your own darkness to speak without immediately silencing it, whether you can recognize that the thoughts that surface at 3 in the morning are not intruders. They are residents. They have always been there. They are simply announcing themselves when the noise subsides, and they will continue to announce themselves with increasing volume until you listen, until you break. 3 in the morning does not change you. It reveals what the daylight helps you avoid. It shows you the architecture of your own interiority, the foundations and the cracks, the load-bearing walls and the hollow spaces. It offers you a view of yourself that is unavailable at any other time. And that view is not flattering. It is not reassuring. It is true. And truth, at this hour, is not your friend. It is simply what remains when all your friends have gone to sleep. The question is not how to silence it. The question is whether you are ready to face what it shows you, whether you can bear the honesty of your own mind when it is too tired to protect you, whether you can recognize that the person you are at 3 in the morning is not a distorted version of yourself. It is simply yourself, unperformed, unmanaged, unavoidable, and possibly, if you have performed long enough, unrecognizable. And if you cannot face it tonight, it will return. It always returns. Because whatever you are avoiding, whatever you have not felt, whatever truth you have not integrated, it does not disappear. It waits. It grows. It waits for the silence. It waits for your defenses to drop. It waits for 3 in the morning. It waits for you to be finally ready to see what you have become. Or it waits for you to die without seeing. Either way, it waits. It has always waited. It will not wait forever.